Okay, can you hear me? I think we are live and it has been a minute. So I have to tell you, hi everyone. Let me know you're here. Say hello. I'm like a nervous wreck, and I think it's partly because there's a lot going on today. And I created this card weeks ago, and I haven't practiced it for a while. But if you know me, ink blending's my thing, and so I'm hoping it won't be a stretch. It will be okay. Not such a big deal. But thanks for joining me today. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. This is actually a workshop that we created for the Nashville Craft Retreat. And a lot of you watching are probably from attended this year, and we did not get to this card. And so I promised that we would do this card together. And so I'm sharing it here because I've created evening ink blending scenes, and really this is just a lot of ink blending. And so I asked everyone if they would be okay if we did it publicly. And so here we are, because to do a private link and do all that, it was kind of like jumping through hoops. So everybody gets to, hi Kathy Dodd, hi Cindy, how is everybody? So everybody gets to partake in this, and you get to see a little bit of what we do at the Nashville Craft Retreat. If you have not been to the Nashville Craft Retreat, or you haven't heard of it, it is my big annual retreat, and it is just an extravaganza. And this year we had 6 workshops. We have super sponsors who create exclusive pre-releases for us, and lots of times we collaborate and I tell them like our theme, and when they're really fantastic, they'll create something special for us. And so most of our workshops were special collabs this year, and so it does make it very special, and we really appreciate it. And my cards got a little bent. They get thrown around a lot in all of the hustle and bustle. So this is the card we're going to do today, and I hope I remember, because like I said, it's been a while since I've done it. But in a lot of ways it's actually very easy, but it's the ink blending and the certain colors that we use that help create a lot of the dramatic effects. So I'm going to share some of those ink blending tips and tricks with you, and we'll put this together, and hopefully I don't mess it up since it's been a while. But if you're new and you didn't attend the retreat, this was the first card we did. And so the name of the workshop was Nobody Likes a Shady Beach. And this is the Daylight Beach Hut we did. And these products are from the Greetery. Betsy at the Greetery is a fantastic super sponsor. And we always have a great time collaborating. And she always designs something very special for us. And so she saw some of my ephemera with beach huts, and she designed this adorable collection for us. So it's got the beach hut and the layered stencils and the die, and then the little stamps for the towels, and it's just so cute. So this was the daytime card we created. Super cute. And then this is the evening card blending that we're going to do. Okay. So I want to talk about this for just a minute. Something that you can do to really add some really amazing dramatic effects is to just pull out something simple like colored pencils. And we didn't get to talk about this a whole lot, but look at what a difference. I want to show you. This is just ink blending, which in and of itself is pretty awesome, right? But look what happens when you pull out colored pencils. It just adds one more detail. And that was so super simple. I just pulled out 2 different colors of colored pencils and just sketched in some veins and lines on those palm fronds. And doesn't that just change the whole look? And then also down here in the sand, I pulled out some browns, and I added some kind of movement in the sand and some little speckles. You can also pull out Copic markers and add details, because I don't know if you know, but you can add effects you can use alcohol ink markers over water-based dye inks, and it will not harm your Copic or your alcohol markers. So over water-based dye inks, you can Copic color, and you could add a lot of these kind of effects also. However, I find with a very sharp colored pencil, you can almost add better details than you can, just because unless you have that fine tip nib on your Copics, it's kind of hard to get a really pretty, precise detail. And I love what the colored pencils do. So that was something that I wanted to share. And also on this card, like under the beach hut, I added shading with just a colored pencil. So some little things you can do with the colored pencils. Here is the third project that we created, and really this isn't a big deal. The directions are in the kit, and I'm going to share with all of you exactly what came in the kit, and you'll know kind of what you get if you attend the Nashville Craft Retreat in a workshop kit. So this was a tag I created for a birthday, and look, there's something inside. Are you ready? Ta-da! It's a gift card. So if you pull this open, look what comes out. How fun is that? My son gave me this because, you know, he loves Chick-fil-A, and it was mostly used, so he didn't mind sharing it with me. So it's just a tag, and it was pretty easy. The instructions are in there, so if you got the workshop kit, you know how to use that. And if there are any questions, you can PM me, because we probably aren't going to do this one. I also added some details with colored pencils for the wood grain effect. Pretty simple there. It's just sketching in where that awesome die has amazing details, and just adding a little bit more shading with a colored pencil helps you get some more wood grain effects on that. So this one's pretty simple. The directions are there, but how cute for a gift card to create this little tag for someone. And that little hut fit perfectly on that tag. Okay, so we're going to do this. When you get a kit at the Nashville Craft Retreat, every kit comes in a color-coded zipper pouch, so it helps keep everything organized. So all of the Greetery products for the workshop were in the pink zippered pouch. So we can just say, pull that out if we need to pull something else out. Hi, Laura Stahl. And so in your at the retreat, you receive step-by-step pictures and directions for each project. And those are in the kit. And then we give you everything that you need to not only create your projects at the retreat, already die cut, organized for you, but also we like to give you most of the products so that you can go home and practice and recreate, because we are technique based, which means that we teach you techniques, and you may not leave with the most beautiful projects. However, you have everything you need to go home and practice and recreate it until you perfect the technique. And this was the card we created at the retreat, card number 1. But basically we teach you how to fish so that you can go home, and now you've got techniques that you can go home and practice and recreate on all of your cards. So we give you all of the die cut pieces, and hold on, let me turn down my phone. Sorry, it's ringing here. But we give you all of the die cut pieces, stuff for your card bases, everything you need. There's the tag. And then we also give you the products. And so in this one, this was let's see what this is called, the Surf Shack from the Greetery. Betsy designed this just for us. If you did not attend the retreat, I do not think this is in her store. But definitely go check, because Betsy has amazing products. So there's the Surf Shack, the layered stencils that go along with this. This is 4 layered stencils, and Betsy included for us because I said, well, you know, I like to create a scene. And she said, well, there's only a door on the 4th stencil, so let's add some palm fronds so you can create the scene. So that was fantastic. So let's pull those out. All of the stencils. And then this is the Out to Dry, I believe that's the name of it, stamp set. Let's see. Out to Dry, yes, because these are your towels for to hang outside. So those are the stamps and the dies, but we have die cut everything for you. So if you have your kit and you're going to craft along, pull out, and we don't want to lose any of these little pieces, pull out one of your huts. And I apologize if my voice still has not recovered from the retreat, so it might give me fits here. I'm going to just pull out for right now the hut. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out, if we look at our card, we will need the railings. Let's go ahead and pull out the railings. And there's the roof or the eaves. Here's our porch. And there's, I'm not going to pull out our towel yet because I don't want to lose it. And I won't pull out all the itty bitty pieces either. And I'll pull out the flag and the other railing. But all these other itty bitty pieces in my window, I am not going to pull those out yet because I do not want to lose those. But these we can ink blend as we go. And I have all kinds of pieces that fell out. So let me get all these before, so that I have them to use. Just because we don't want to have to die cut anything that we actually already have. And you know, you got to keep track of these little pieces. We work really hard at the retreat also to make sure that nobody loses anything. And if they do, we can get them another one because we have extras. So let's set that aside. And I'm going to set this aside and pull out my sticky mat and my instructions because I'll follow along since it's been a while since I've done this card so that I don't mess it up and I can kind of follow our directions. So the other nice thing on our directions is that we give you all of the kit supplies, your cutting guides. So when you go home and you want to cut some yourself, other supplies you may need, and then your Catherine Pooler inks. So let's go ahead and pull out these inks. We need, and I have many of them here. I know we need Fiesta Blue, and we need the new Blue Raspberry from Catherine Pooler, and Juniper Mist, Serenade, Party Dress, and Cashmere. Okay. I'm going to move these aside and that one aside. And I have my sticky mat and I'm going to go ahead and put my little beach hut. And I'm going to fix my door so that it lines up so that that way my stencils will, I know, will line up perfectly. So make sure that sticks down. I love to work on my sticky mat for this ink blending because it holds everything and nice and tight. So just make sure it sticks down really well. And I will zoom in. And I don't think I need that one yet. I think we start with Blue Raspberry. And we'll have this off to the side. Let me take a drink. Laura, I figured you were catching us at work. Don't get in trouble. Okay. I might need to wash my sticky mat. It's not wanting to grip as much as it does sometimes. Okay. I love to use different blending brushes. Let me get my Blue Raspberry and I'm going to get detail blending brushes right now. So I'm going to use a bigger blending brush and then my detail blending brushes from Altenew that I love. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We want to keep this door white, but we're going to make it real easy by ink blending everything all one color, okay, around here. So I'm going to mask off the door and just make it simple. Use a little sticky note. And I'm going to cover up and I'll move it to get to this side, but I'll start on the right side and I'm going to cover the door frame and everything because I want it to stay white. And I want to make sure Gotta get it right there where it needs to be. Okay. So don't rush this process. Just make sure that you get it exactly right. Okay. So I'm going to hold that down so that that way I can ink blend on this side, and then I'll move it over to ink blend this side. Okay. And I find it's really easy to use a bigger blending brush to do a larger area. And we are just going to use, this is the new Catherine Pooler Blue Raspberry, and I love this color. So dab, dab, dab on your blending brush, tap some color off. Make sure your sticky mat is clean. And I'm going to start down here so I can see how much is going onto the paper. And we don't want to make it too dark because we want a lot of light to go with our dark shading. So this is not rocket science. I'm just taking it up. It doesn't matter if we go up here because that's going to be covered up with our roof anyway. We'll ink blend that. So just ink blend quickly. This isn't a big deal. I'm going to do two things at once, and you can do it in two steps if you want to. But since I'm right here and I don't want to move my sticky note, I'm going to go ahead and do my shading at the same time. If you don't want to do that, do your blue raspberry, move your sticky note over, finish blue raspberry, and then add in your serenade. But for the sake of time and just to make it easy right now, I'm going to, this is how sticky this, I love that it holds my ink pad, but sometimes it can give me fits in trying to pick it up. This is Serenade. Here's why I like this and why this is a perfect color for evening, like dusky ink blending. Because if you look at shadows, a lot of times it's not like they're just gray. There's blue in it. It can actually look like it's got some lavender shades. So when we're ink blending over a blue color, if we use a lavender, which is, of course, lavender is made with reds and blues, it actually gives it a really pretty kind of shaded purpley lavender shading effect. And so I find it's perfect at dusk scenes because lavender works really well with the blue. So there's a little tip and trick for that one. So I'm going to use my small detail blender from Altenew. Oh, that's going to put a lot of ink. So I'm going to take a lot off. Okay. Start at the bottom where it would be more shaded. And we're just going to gently, we're going in circles off and then onto our hut. And you just want to take it along the edge and leave some white for that dramatic effect. Now, it's going to be darker towards the bottom of the hut, so you can blend over a little bit like that and then pull it up. And if the sun is coming this way, now I have to tell you, this is not truly what it would look like at dusk time, because at dusk, if you have a sun going down, you know that orangey yellow can be very bright. And if it's coming from this side, you actually might have had a little bit of yellow hitting that side and spilling over here. But I have to tell you, I did one that way. I didn't like the looks of it. So this might not be technically, scientifically correct shading, but it's pretty. So we're going with that, right? And nobody should be questioning. I'm just going to pull a little bit of ink that I got from over here. And now I might need a little bit more. And we're going off of the page and pulling the ink onto it and going in little circles. This is where having a detail blending brush or a smaller blending brush really makes a difference. See that? And then it's going to be darker underneath the eaves, right? Hi, Diana. So we're going to pull it up here. Now, remember, we're going to cover this because we actually have our little roof right here, and we'll ink blend that in a second. And I'm going to stick that down so we don't forget it. And that will be more shaded along the bottom, right? Because that'll be the darkest spot. So if you see on our card, it's always darkest under the eaves, and then it'll be a little bit dark here under the bottom. Okay. So that's what we're doing. We're going to add it here and then go up here, go under the eaves, and then pull it down a little bit. Okay, and I'm also going to just very lightly add a little bit of shading on those window panes. And those may have fallen out of your die cut, and if they did, I'm sure they're in your bag. Just look for this, or you can die cut another one. So we definitely want quite a bit of shading up here under the eaves, okay? Because that's where it would be darkest. So start up here and then pull it down. And it might be a little bit more shady right here in this corner too, from this coming over. Okay. Super simple. This is not hard, right? Let's go ahead and while we're right here, I'm going to use the ink that's on my brush and see how much is on there. And just try to get it kind of under here. Okay. And sometimes with these sticky mats, the one thing I don't like is it will tend to grab your brush. So use a little bit lighter pressure and it won't grab that as much. And it's easier to kind of push the ink up and softly blend it under there. So really get under the eaves right there and over here. And there you go. And can you see it? You'll see it once it's on the card. It's much darker than it looks on camera. Okay. Super easy, right? And while, you know what, when we move it, we'll do this one. So this is done. Let's go ahead and move this. Oops. Put it up here. I do love this about the stamp wheel is that this side comes off. So you can do a full sheet of paper. But when you go to move it, sometimes it scares you because it pops off. But it's supposed to do that. So, okay. Let me take another drink. Now let's go ahead and move the sticky note over. And see, because I didn't have a heavy hand, I didn't even get a line that I have to blend out right here because I went in with such a light shading of the blue raspberry. If you go a little bit heavier handed, just be aware that you're going to have to blend it out when you get over here if you're lazy like me and move your sticky note. Now, we could have used the stencil, but it was so much easier since we're staying just in one color to use this sticky note as a mask. So make sure that's stuck down really well. And now I'm going to go back in with the blue raspberry, take some off, and then we're just going to blend it on. And also, here's a tip. If you use Catherine Pooler ink pads or any company that has a foam ink pad, we tend to always want to go right in the middle to grab ink. It will help protect your ink pad and it will last longer if you try to start thinking about pulling ink from all around the ink pad. That's just a little tip I have for your foam ink pads, just on how to care for it and, you know, make it last a little bit longer. Okay, so there's my blue raspberry. And now let's go in with the Serenade. Make it a little bit darker at the bottom. And then pull it up. Ink blending is definitely a lesson in patience. If you have patience and you build up the color and you don't try to go into dark right away, it is worth it in the end, right? And you don't have to grip your blending brush too hard. It's just a matter of layering, building that ink up. Okay, let's take this away and see if they're even. Yep, I think that's pretty good. Doesn't that Serenade look so pretty ink blended on there? You see how you didn't just go in with gray. It like built the colors up because you used an analogous color, which is the lavender to the blue. And it just gives it kind of a more dramatic shading effect than what someone might expect with, for instance, grays. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull in these other pieces while we're right here. and get our railings. Now we just need a little bit. You want to keep the important thing about shading, you would think, is you want dark colors, but actually what makes shading dramatic is that you keep the whites and the highlights. It's keeping the highlights and then adding in some of that shading that really makes it dramatic and makes it look more of like an artistic thing on a card. So don't lose all your white space. It's important, right? So we're just going to go here on the side and add a little bit of shading, and at the bottom because it's going to be darker there on the front of our house. Things are always darker towards the ground, right? It's harder for the light to get there. So I'm keeping it a little bit wider here and just going on the side, and I'll do it on the right side. Now be careful that you don't have too much ink. I almost went in too heavy-handed, so I pulled it back a little bit, okay? And now on our porch, this little side might be showing, it might be shaded a little bit, and I'll pull it this way. And then the same, this is going to be much darker, even though we won't make it so much so, because the setting sun would be coming from this side, so it'd be much darker on this side of the hut. Okay. And then we can add just a little bit of shade here at the bottom, but not too much because we want to keep some of that white. Right? So there, how easy was that? You'd think that it took so much work and it was such a big deal, and it's really not at all. Now, we do have our little round window here that I didn't want to lose it, but let's pull it out of the bag. And we'll set this aside for a minute. Oh, we need to shade our door a little bit. We don't want to forget about that. So we want it to stay white, but we need a little bit of shading. So in order to maintain this light color, I'm going to now mask that off. You see how sticky notes? If you don't have any masking paper, it's okay. Just use a piece of copy paper, or sticky notes are fantastic because they are so easy to move and they stick down all on their own. Okay, so put that there. And now we're going to just add a little bit of shading with that serenade on this side of the door and down here at the bottom. Okay, and it's better to build. Don't go in too dark. Let's see if I need to go in a little bit more. Is anybody crafting with me? Look, I started off and then I'm pulling it on. A little bit more towards the bottom. And then we're going in circle, 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 and we're pulling it up. And I'm going to pull it up at the top of the door and the door casing, but not too much. And your blending brush keeps a lot of ink on there, so you don't have to keep going in. You see that you'll tend to get too much ink. Oh, Stacy's crafting along with me. Woohoo! I love that. So you have a lot of ink on there. You don't need to go back in. You'll tend to get goobers and go in too heavy-handed if you keep adding ink. I like to just keep blending and blending until it builds up to what I want most of the time, especially for a technique like this. So keep a lot of your door white, and then we want this door frame white, right? And there you go. And you see how we maintained the blue right there around our door. I love it. Those are the lights we're talking about. It's the lights that make the shading dramatic, believe it or not. Okay? So let's go ahead and we'll leave that there for right now. And now I can pull out my little window frame. And Stacy, I'm trying not to go too fast either. Although I'm going to get hungry soon. So we'll go until I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. Let's speed this up. Okay, and I've already got these little windows in there. Um, I've already got those shaded, so I can pop these out. It doesn't really matter, but that way I don't have to go to the work. Now, I don't want this again to stay white because it would be under the eaves and we need it to be shaded, right? So let's shade it just a little bit. It would be a little bit more shady at the top. Might need a little bit more color. That's why when you can pull it right off of your sticky mat, right? And we'll just leave it like that. Okay. So while I have it right here, I'm going to go ahead and glue my roof and my window. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I have ruined sticky mats by gluing things onto them. I think I can control it and not make a big mess, and I like that it holds my hut. If you're worried that you're going to get glue off onto your sticky mat, and I'm telling you, like, I might pull it up, because you do not want to get glue on your sticky mat unless you wipe it off right away. And I have ruined sticky mats by gluing. It's so nice to have it stick down and hold it, but you have to avoid that temptation, which I almost did a second ago. Let me try to get my ink pad up now. It sticks so well, it can be really hard to get them up, but I love that. There we go. There's Serenade. Here's Blue Raspberry, and let's not be lazy and let's go ahead and not give in to the temptation. Now, be very careful because this is an intricate die cut. When you pull it up, that it's not sticking too much and that we don't damage our hut, because the dies are so detailed. We want to make sure that we don't tear it. So be gentle. So there we've got that. And we'll go ahead and take our porch off and our little windows, and we'll leave our railings for right now. We'll get those in a second. Okay. So let's glue all this on. And I like to now use this sticky note to take any extra glue off of my die cut piece. So I love to use my pinchy scissors or tweezers. And I take my glue right off to the edge because I want it to stick down and not curl up from my hut. So I'm going to take it everywhere, but I'm going to dab it off the excess on the sticky note now. So it's going to be the right amount. And put this on my hut. Now, if you wanted to color your door and not leave it white, pink would have looked really cute with this. Now, keep in mind, if we colored our door yellow and we use lavender, first of all, you know, yellow and purple will normally make brown. And at the very least, it's going to make green because of the blue in it. But most likely it would just be a muddy, ugly color. So that, I can tell you, that's one reason why I did not color my door yellow for this one. Pink would be okay because Serenade, of course, is made with red, or lavender is made with red and blue. So I think the pink would have taken on the Serenade very well also. And then see, that way, because we took our glue all the way to the edges, we have no curling or anything from that base layer. And because we dabbed some off, it stuck very quickly. And, you know, we didn't have to worry about taking time to really hold it. Okay. Now, I find when we're not going to keep the door open, I like to leave it together. And then I like to add my glue just right to the bottom of the hut because our porch is a little bit longer. And if you add the glue to the porch first, you tend to overrun where it is on the house. So this way, I'm also sure that the door sticks down. And I'm just going to add it right along this edge, like not much, but one little line right along the bottom. Okay. And then dab some off and then leave your porch down and kind of center your house. Now it tries to pull apart. So you could put something there to hold it together, like we could do our tweezers, right? And pinch that together. And now center that. But I try to do it right on the edge so more of my porch is showing, because I think even that porch is such a cute little detail. And then I take my tweezers apart and then I hold it down and kind of pinch it with my fingers. And I'm a little bit off, but it's okay. And it already doesn't, oh, it's okay. I kind of centered that little bottom piece for the porch in the middle of that wood. And if it's not perfect, let it go. Okay, now push it down. I want just that little edge, and that might not, I may have moved it and my glue had already dried. We'll see if we can get it. Yep, it's good. Okay. And there's so little glue on there, I really don't even need like the block to weight it down. And while this is here, I'm going to go ahead and do my window. Once again, this is where having this scrap piece of paper, you don't have to worry about your glue being too excessive, because we can dab it off, right? Dab, 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 dab. And I want to make sure that shaded part that we did is at the top. And don't lose those shaded windows because they look so good. Hi, Wendy Jean. And hopefully they'll stay in there. But look, they look like real windows already shaded, right? And if we want to add just a little bit more shading, if you think it needs it, now you can go back in and add a little bit more, and that's okay. See that? That looks perfect. Hi, Karen. Look, that looks perfect. Perfectly shaded. I love it. Isn't that cute? Now let's do our railings. Don't forget our railings. That, see, when you use your sticky mat, they even stay right there. Isn't that perfect? Absolutely perfect. Okay. Dab it. And I like this to go right at the bottom of my hut and right at the door frame. Okay. And see, when you don't have too much glue, it sticks down right away. And you don't have a mess. I wish, I used to teach kindergarten. I wish I could remember the glue song that we used to sing, because, you get 5-year-olds in glue and it's a disaster waiting to happen. And we used to sing a song and I totally forget, it was taught to me by a veteran teacher. And it was so good. We had songs for everything. Thank goodness 5-year-olds, they didn't care how bad my voice was, because I don't have the best singing voice. And here comes Hagrid coming to see what we're doing. He can only take it so long. I didn't have the heart to put him in his kennel in the middle of the day. Oh, he's laid down on the bed. Okay, let's put this one down. Perfect. I love it. Does anybody else absolutely love their pinchy tweezers as much as I do? Oh my goodness. These are scrapbook.com. I love my reverse tweezers. If you don't have these, I have to tell you, it's a learning curve. When I first started using them, my sister told me to use them and I was like, I don't like those. But I made myself use them, and oh my goodness, now I wouldn't know what to do because they're so pinchy and tight. I love my reverse tweezers. Okay, how cute is that? Seriously, look. So cute. Still not looking like it's anything overly special, right? Because we haven't added in everything else. Let's go ahead and color while we have it, let's go ahead and, before we do our background, let's do all these other bits and pieces. I pulled out the flag. Yep, we'll do that. And here's our door, or this is our towel. And then let's pull out all these other little pieces. There's our doorknob and our hinges. Betsy thinks of everything. She is all about the details. And I love that she thinks about these things. Now, I will tell you, I think the easiest way to do this is to, if you want to color your hinges and your doorknob, let's get these out of here, and your little flagpole, I like to, once again, flip over your little sticky note, and I like to stick these right on there. I do not color on my sticky mat. Guess why? Because I've done this before. If you get Copic marker, now does it hurt it? No. But does it drive me nuts? Yes. If you get alcohol ink on your sticky mat, it won't come off. Even, you aren't supposed to use alcohol on your sticky mat. I don't think it'll ruin it, but I've ruined so many already that I don't want to try it. I like to stick those down on a piece of tape or something like this sticky note, and then I use a Copic marker to just quickly color them. And look, because it's sticking down, it makes it easy. It grips it, and it's easy peasy to color those little pieces. Okay, super easy. Now I'm going to glue those on. Once again, get my little tweezers. I have goobers on my glue. Oh, well, hi, Cindy. Can't live without those tweezers. I know it, right? I think I said hi to you earlier. I'm glad y'all could join us today. I didn't know how many people, but I really wanted to get this done. And so I hope nobody's upset that I'm doing this live. I normally try not to share classes when someone has paid for them. I normally try not to share it for a while, like that technique or whatever, but if y'all follow me, you've seen me ink blend, and I've ink blended night skies. And because the craft retreat is such an epic adventure all on its own, it's not just, I have 2 door handles and not another hinge. Let me find another. Here's my other hinge. So I didn't think anybody would mind, because to do a private live with a private link is kind of a pain. Like, you have to email everybody and stuff. And so I didn't want to do that. It was like too many hoops to jump through when I just wanted to do this so y'all had it. And I don't think anybody minds that we're doing it publicly. Okay. And it's kind of fun, right? Because if anybody hasn't been to the retreat and they see what we do, I think it might inspire them to register. Oh, I did that on my door frame. I need to pull it up because I don't know if you can see it. I don't like that. I got to get that up. Pull it up. And uh-oh, we might have to do some repair. I put it over my door frame. That was silly. Wait a minute. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to use my pencil eraser and see if I can erase this damage that I did. It's just a little bit of paper. I just don't want it over the door frame. Okay. Here we go. Take 2. Dab, dab, dab. Not on the door frame this time. There we go. Make sure it's straight. Okay. And now our little door handle. And, you know, lots of times I don't like the little fussy bits. I don't like die sets that have a ton of little pieces you have to put together. But this one, I mean, it's not a big deal at all. And a door handle is going to be just above where maybe the railing would be. And maybe right over here. Cute, cute, cute. And there we go. See that? See how I moved it over from the door frame? That wouldn't be very smart over the door frame. So cute, right? But still not a big deal. Let's go ahead and I already colored my flagpole. So let's move this out of the way. And let's go ahead and ink this while we're right here. Move our hut. And I want my flag to be pink. So real quick ink blending for the pink. With my detail blender, I'm going to use Party Dress. Don't get it in if you dabbed off any Serenade, okay? And just kind of do this. It'll be a little bit darker at the bottom. Don't worry too much. It's just a little tiny flag. But it's going to be darker where the little folds would be, right? And you can go over the little pole. That's fine. Now, see how that was super easy. If you had the micro blenders, everybody got 3 micro blenders. You could have used that. The micro blender would be good for this. So I'm going to find one little micro blender. Okay. Okay. So these are micro blenders. Okay. These are from Ultranew. You had 3 kind of no names in your pack. And I'm going to get Serenade out. Do you have to do this? No. If you're all about the details and you want to go a little bit more dramatic, I loaded a little bit of the Serenade that was left, and I'm just going to go in where that flag might be folding a little bit, right? It's going to be more shady. And also right here where the flagpole is might be a little bit more shady right along the bottom and in those folds. Can you see that? At the end of the day, does anybody care? Probably not, but all the little details add up, right? So I'm going to pick it up, set it aside, and right now, while I'm here, I'm going to add just a little bit of shading. Now, I have to tell you, on my card, I added too much shading and I don't like it. It lost all of the white for dramatic effect, and it just kind of ended up looking a little dirty. So we're not going to ink blend as much as I did on my original one, okay? Pull in a little bit and just add a little bit of shading maybe at the bottom. And maybe over here. We don't need much. Okay, just a little bit. And we can always go in and add more if we decide we want more, but I didn't like too much. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of shading on our little rope. Not much. Okay. Now, I'm going to, while it's right here on my sticky mat and stuck down already, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my beach towel. And I think now on my original one, I used this one, but I think I might go this way. I like this one. And I'm just going to use a block. If you want to use your stamp positioner, you go ahead. I tend to get lazy and I'll just redo it if I mess it up, right? So I like to set my stamps down. You probably can't see it on my table, and then pick it up with my block. Okay. And I'm going to use Party Dress. I will zoom out just a little bit now. There we go. So load up my stamp, and I don't want to get my head in the camera, so I'm hoping that I'm doing it just right. Give that ink a second to transfer. And there we go. Now let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. And I'm thinking salty, sandy, happy. That's the one I used on my card. So once again, stick that down, pick it up with my block. And I like to stamp my sentiments in a VersaFine or VersaFine Clair pigment ink. They just make a nice, crisp, beautiful sentiment. Load up the stamp. I may have gone off of my towel just a little bit, not gotten it perfectly centered. We'll see. It's fine. I can live with that, right? Clean off my stamp. So what's everybody been working on? Have you been finishing up your projects since the retreat? Some people went right ahead and did this, which made me very happy because, you know, a lot of you, hi, Christy. What'd she say? Can't, oopsie daisies. Uh-oh. Is it when I messed up the door hinges? Okay, so now we have, now be careful picking this up. There's our towel. Okay. And we'll set that aside. And so let's see where we are in our instructions. We adhered the roof. We did the towel, the hinges. Oh, we got to put our little, where is, there it is right there. Let's glue our little flagpole on. Okay. Christy says, yep, I got it. If that's the worst mistake I make, whoo, I'm doing well. Okay. Especially since we haven't gotten to the ink blending the background yet, but that's really not as hard as it looks. Now you see how easy this is. And I have to tell you, could I just have taken the marker and colored the flagpole? 100%. Have I done it many other times when I was practicing? Yes, because I'm a lazy crafter. And this one, if you don't get it just right, you know, you're going to see the color that you ink blended. So it's another way to cover it up if you think you can see it. Also, you know, it looks nice, kind of like on an image that maybe you fussy cut and you want it right on the line. You know how if you take your marker, you don't want to mess up, you know, it looks nice and professional to go along the edge with like the side of your marker. So you can do that if you didn't get exactly where it goes. And then look how nice that is. It's perfect. that's when you use the side of a marker and you finish the edge. Like if you fussy cut and you want the black edge outline, that's what you do. It makes it look very professional that way. But just make sure you don't miss and get it somewhere else. Okay, now let's glue this onto our hut. And once again, I like to just put a little dab of glue right here at the top. Take it a little bit off, and then we're going to stick this, and I tend to do it this way. And try to keep it straight, right? And hold it and flip it over. Oh, it stuck to my finger more than it stuck to my paper. Let's try it again. Sometimes when you use too little glue, it doesn't want to work. So stick it down, and then sometimes I'll use my tweezers and pinch that together, right? Flip it over. Just make sure it's straight. Maybe take it down a little bit lower, and it might make it easier. Okay, so pinch that and hold it up. I keep messing it up. There, now I think I got it. Okay, make sure it's holding it, okay? We're gonna set that aside up there. Now, I don't think that I need any of these pieces. Okay. Let's move on, and we're going to do our background. Now, you can trim yours down, and I like to trim mine beforehand, or you could take it right to the edge and do a full panel, right? I like to trim mine down because there's so much white on the hut. I like to have the white edge, right? And it makes this look all the more dramatic with the juniper mist shading. And so I'm going to make sure, we may have trimmed it down for you, but I doubt it. So pull out a panel, and we always like to use good products. So we always use Hammer Mill. And it's the 100-pound, 110-pound, whatever that is. It's perfect for Copic coloring, perfect for all kinds of things. So let's trim this down. My goodness. I don't know why that was so hard. Wrong thing. Hold on. I pulled out my little mini book cincher, and it knocked my little trimmer off. Here. So we want 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. And then we need a card base. So pull out your card base. And let's make sure this is going to be perfect on here. Yes, that will be perfect. Okay, so set your card base aside. We have our little rope. We've got our hut with the flag and our beach towel. And now we're going to inkblend the background. Now let's see. So we're going to use our sticky mat. It makes it easy, right? So let's clean this. That's done now. And we'll sit it aside. Set all of our little pieces aside. You know, if you have a sorting tray, highly recommend using your sorting trays so you don't lose any of your pieces. I love my sorting trays, right? Keeps everything safe, and I don't lose it. Story of my life. Now, let's clean our sticky mat. I just use water. Because this is basically a giant stamp, you could use stamp cleaner. However, stamp cleaner has glycerin in it. And you know, glycerin can be a little bit like oily, and I don't want that to get on my paper. So usually I just clean my sticky mat with water. And then I have these 99.9% wipes that I tend to wipe it down with. And I will reuse these over and over and over again if they aren't too dirty. And then I have to wait for my sticky mat to dry, or we'll just dab it off very gently. I try not to even use a microfiber cloth. You could probably use a stamp chamois, and that would help. Mine's like not even damp though, so it won't work very well. I don't tend to rub it because I don't want any fibers to stick to my mat, but just give it a little dry, kind of wave it around. Just make sure it's dry before we add our panel, right? Let it air dry. Okay. Now we're going to put, and when I'm doing ink blending like this, I'll put it at an angle because I like to work that way. You know, it's hard to blend this way, you know, unless you flipped your mat around. So I will do it at an angle. And what else is nice is if this bothers you when you're ink blending, you can remember you can take that side off. Okay. Sticking down very nicely. See what our directions say. Okay, so we want a straight line for our horizon, kind of in the middle of our panel. And we're going to ink the sun going this way. So it's going to be here at the edge of our panel because basically our panel will end up looking like this, right? So we're going to ink blend. I find it's easy to ink blend right here. And we're going to start with limoncello. And that's going to be our sun. And then we'll add a little bit of glitz in the middle. And then we'll blend it out for the setting sun. So we have limoncello and we have glitz that's going to be kind of that burning orangey yellow color in the middle of a setting sun. Okay, but first, now I like these long sticky notes that I have, but you can double up 2 or 3 regular sticky notes. And we're going to put these kind of about in the middle of our paper, and we kind of want to get it even, right? I might even measure it just to be sure because these are longer and I want to make sure I don't have a crooked horizon. Just to be sure. I normally don't dilly-dally with these kind of details, but I do for this. Just because I don't want to mess it up for y'all. Okay, so it needs to come down just a hair on this side. I think about right there. It's about 6 centimeters, a little over 6 centimeters. There we go, pretty good. Now press that down. Okay, there's our horizon. Makes it really easy not to stress about where it's going. Okay, and it gives you that nice kind of crisp line. We're going to pretend our ocean's really calm, right? We don't have to worry about any big winds or waves. And I'm going to get a blending brush and then get more of a detailed one. So I'll start with limoncello. Dab, dab, dab. Load up my brush a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to kind of just start here on the edge to make my sun right here, my setting sun. He's going down And it's already very much, you know, duskiness, so I don't need a big circle. Just a little bit. And you know, you just go in a circle and it makes that perfect little setting sun for you, right? And we can have it kind of coming over this way just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit right there. And remember, you're going to have some fade back. So I always go a little bit darker, knowing that that ink is going to fade back just a little bit. And now, oh no, we need some glitz. Just for that fiery orange at sunset kind of look. Started off the paper and then took it on into that circle, right? You know, sometimes it gets really fiery. And then I'll go back in and blend just a little bit of that out to soften it. Okay. And now we're going to blend in with some party dress and kind of blend it into the yellow. So you kind of get that orangey pinkish color, and then it's very quickly setting. So we have a lot of the purpley that starts to show. Okay. So now we'll go in, and you need to be a little bit not too heavy handed with your party dress at first. Okay. And put my yellow away. Okay. And I like this brush because it's just a little bit smaller and I can have just a little bit more control. Take some of that ink off, and then I'm off the page and blending in and into that kind of orangey. Okay. And then you're going to take that pink up, because that's, we're going to blend into that with the blue to give us that purple. And it'll go right along that horizon a little bit, right? You know, it gets pinkish. And pull that right into the sky. I'm going to go back in with my yellow so I don't lose my yellow. And because we've built that ink up, it'll blend together, right? And every time it'll be a little bit different. This probably won't look exactly like my original one. But go ahead and pull that pink in. Got a little bit of a smear there, but it's okay because it actually will be covered up with our house. But it would blend together anyway once we start building up a lot of ink. I'm even going to pull some there along the side. See that? And we're going to add a lot of blue at the top. So I don't need to worry about taking this all the way up and how heavy it is there or anything. Okay. One more final blend with yellow. Like that. And I'm looking to make sure. Ink the Sun. Begin by blending limoncello and glitz. Softly blend party dress, and then Fiesta Blue into Juniper Mist. Okay, so Juniper Mist or Fiesta Blue is next. This is going to give us a pretty purple. And let me see. I think So I'm going to load up my brush, take a lot off, and I'm going to start over here and blend up and in to that party dress. Okay. If you start at the top, it will be easier. And then while I'm doing this, I'll go back in with pink and blend this together. Okay. And then go back to your pink brush and blend it in. Okay. So now we've cut that side. We've kind of created a pinkish lavender, just like the twilight sky, right? As it starts to set. I'm going to pull it around just a little bit more. Now this is going to be covered up by our house, so it really, our hut, so it doesn't really matter, but I mean, it's quickly setting. So we want the idea of that twilight sky. Okay, now we're going to leave that. You don't want it too dark because you want to be able to see the purple sky back there, right? So, and you could even go in with more pink. Now, it's going to contaminate your brush a little bit, so don't have a fit. You can clean that off, right? If we really wanted it to be a little bit more lavender-like, we could go back in and blend a little bit more pink in there. And you could use like a lavender color, but I think it's a little bit prettier to blend the blues and the pinks right on your paper than to actually go in right with a purple ink. So I can just take my microfiber cloth and clean that off a little bit while it's wet and pull any of that cross contamination off with the blue. Okay, so we've got that. Let's look at the instructions. And I'm not going to go in with juniper mist yet. The directions say above the setting sun, softly blend party dress, then fiesta blue into juniper mist. I would actually rather add in more juniper mist at the end than to add it at the beginning when we don't know how much we need, right? So it's better to add it at the end, I think. I might decide later I was wrong. We'll see. Okay. Remove the mask, and now we're going to blend limoncello below the skyline. Be careful because you have all this ink blending here, and you don't want to cross-contaminate into yellow when we pull this up and get green, right? Ooh, that looks so pretty. So there's our skyline, and okay, so we're removing the mask, and now we're blending limoncello down below the skyline because it's going to reflect off the water, right? Our sun is reflecting now. So we need to kind of pull this in because it's coming this way. We're going to go this way a little bit with the reflection. Now, you're only going to see so much because of the hut, right? So don't stress about it. Just a little bit of yellow to give the illusion of that, and then you're going to blend Fiesta Blue up into that, okay? So take your yellow, and we're going to see what's on here, and we're just going to blend a little bit of yellow down here because we need water, and then we need some sand. Let's add in some more. And I I go in circles, but maybe long circles. We're just blending a little bit of water or yellow into the water. And if you want it a little bit darker, you could go in with a more of a detail blending brush and kind of make it brighter right there. It's going to be very bright where the sun is setting, right? And then blend it down. See that? You're just giving the illusion. We're not going into all of the details of the ripples of the water or anything like that because you're not even going to see that. So we give a little bit of that and then we go in with the Fiesta Blue. But we need to remember that we have a sandy beach here. So we have to leave like 1/2 inch for our sandy beach there too. Okay. So Fiesta Blue. And there's probably enough ink on here. I'm going to leave a little bit of white space. Why? Because we don't want green. Okay, so you leave a little bit of white space and nobody knows the difference. It gives the illusion of like a highlight. And just blend that right in there. It's going to be darker over here anyway because the sun's further away. Oh, look what I did. I forgot my sand. Hold on. Let me see if I can find my sand eraser. It can be shaded there anyway, right? We're going to go with that. I just said, don't go in there. And then I did. And I don't know where my sand eraser is. Hold on. Here it is at the bottom. Now I know not to keep it in there. Okay, let's see if we can erase some of this. And I don't know, I'm trying not to go on my sticky mat. It worked. We're good. Look, we're good. Look. Okay, love this. Just brush it off. And that's fine. May not be the best ink blending there because I was really rough on the paper, but we should be okay. Okay, shoo, saved it. I had just said, don't do that. And I did. Okay. All right. This does not have to be perfect. The majority of this is going to be covered up, right? And I have to tell you, on my original, I didn't have as much yellow. So I don't know whether we're going to like all this yellow on here. We'll have to see. But I can't go over it with blue. Okay. Does not have to be perfect because most of it's going to be covered up. Okay. Okay. So we've got that. Let's go in with some cashmere for our beach. And just some easy, this is cashmere. You could use, what's the other one? Sandcastle is the other soft light brown. And I wouldn't put too much effort into this sand because it's mostly going to be covered up, right? And even on this side, I probably took the blue down too far. Nobody's going to notice it. Okay. There's a little bit of sand. Now, the difference between the other one and this one is if you want, you can go ahead and stamp a sentiment right there, just like on the first one. Betsy has these really cute little sentiments that say, you know, wishing you high tide and good vibes, that you can put in your sky and you can see it. But really at night, you know, you might not be able to see it as well. So you want to think ahead and stamp that sentiment if you want that there. I don't need it on this one. Okay, so let's see where we are. And now we're going to do a softly blend juniper mist at the bottom of the Fiesta Blue water to meet the sandy beach. I'm not going to do that because pretty much a lot of it will be covered up, and we can do that in a minute, okay? Let's go ahead and add our leaves in. And remember, things that are further away are lighter. Things that are closer are darker. So our first layer, I'm going to line up the edge of the stencil to the edge of our paper on our left side and stick that down. This back layer is going to be a much lighter. I'm going to start with maybe even some Fiesta Blue. Hi, Jackie. I know, she's watching at work. I had to get this in because this was a workshop class that we needed to finish up. I'm going to start with Fiesta Blue. And then we can go in and make it darker. Okay. And that's nicely stuck down because this is going to go right over that pink and be a softer color like lavender. Okay. I'm going over the yellow, yes, because the tree would be in front of the sun, right? From our perspective. So now I've done Fiesta Blue, so it's going to be lighter. Now I'm going to wipe that off a little bit. Our stencil. Remember, go up so that we don't damage our stencil. Wipe off just a little bit. And now we've got that lighter color back there. We could even go over with some of our pink to give it more of a purpley color, but I don't think I want to mess with that. So now remember our trick. We pull this up carefully and then we flipped it over so that we can have leaves going in a different direction. Ooh, doesn't that look pretty already? Okay, remember, because we cleaned it off. And now we can have leaves going. I might even do these coming way down here. If you're brave enough that you know you aren't going to kind of mess this up, you can do this going in different directions. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this one down. Don't take it too far up here. You know, you don't want a line. And I really just want mainly this one because I wanted it to come all the way down here. And I want it to look like it's further away. So it's going to be a lighter color. We might go back over it. We'll see. See, now I have one coming way down here. Now, and that's going to be covered up with our hut, so I'm not worried about that. Now we can do this one going this direction, and they can be coming further, they can be up further. Like this, and we can bring some more down if we want. Now we're going to go in with the juniper mist. If you have a really juicy ink pad, this is where you have to be careful, because as you're ink blending, it can seep under your, you don't know it, but you have a lot of ink on your blending brush, it will seep under your stencil and kind of goober up under there. And so be careful if your ink pad is really juicy. Now I need a dark juniper mist blending brush. Really load your brush up, but be careful. Don't go in with too much pressure at first. And we want these to be really dark. These are the palm fronds that are closer, and that this is the really dark nighttime as the sun starts to set. The closer they are, the darker they are. So make sure you just keep building and building until you can't see through it anymore. Sometimes it means stepping away and letting that ink dry and build up the layers. Because if you keep going while it's wet, it kind of gets to that saturated point where it won't take on anymore, and it actually starts to have more fade back. So if you want it to be really dark, sometimes let it dry for a second. Okay. And now go in and maybe a little bit more. Looking to see what time it is. Almost 1 here. And yes, I will be live tonight. And tonight I am going to share, if you weren't at the craft retreat, my new collection. You know, I opened my own company, and it's my first release. It premiered at the Nashville Craft Retreat, and that was actually one of the workshops that we had. And so I'm going to go live and show a lot of the products and some samples, and kind of how things work, and maybe, you know, some things you hadn't thought of. And they're just so cute, and the store is open, and I've got orders coming in, so that's exciting. So I need to get orders shipped today, but I will be live tonight. And I will give you a little preview because it's right here, and I'm so excited. I did get a card made. Shocking. Look how cute with that new sunshine, I forget the name of it, Sweet Sunshine layered die. And this is the Hey There Sunshine stamp and die set. So he's cute, right? So there is that one, and he's sold out. I do have a restock coming, but it's not here yet. So you'll want to, if you didn't get him, and you look how cute he is, and you can move the face so he can look different directions. And look, I made a shaker out of him with the chandelier mix. How cute is that? And then I made a shaker. I created a new mix for y'all. I couldn't stand it. This is kind of has a gold effect, and someone's calling. It has like a gold effect, and it's called Showgirl, and it's a shaker mix. So how cute is that? And that's another part of the sun that you can create So you can make different sizes, and he can be a flower, right? Isn't he so cute? I love him. So those are some things I'll share tonight, and that we'll talk about. And the store is open. It's my-pretty-things.com. And it's a Shopify. So if, lots of the crafty companies use Shopify. So super easy to use. It's not the prettiest website yet, but it was more of a matter of just get it up and going and we can make it prettier later, right? Everything on there is prettier. I know, Cindy, isn't it so cute? Okay, very gently, we're going to pull this up and look. Ta-da! Look how good that looks. I love it. That looks really good. Really, really good. I want another blue leaf, maybe. Let's see. Where was this one? Was this one this one? I'm not, or was it this one? I think it was, no. Which one was it? Oh, it was this one, I think. Yep. I think it was that one, maybe. I'm not sure. So I'm not going to mess with it because it's down on the side, but do I want another one over here coming down? Because that really adds a pretty look. Maybe if we go this way and this one's just kind of coming in here, that'll look good. But you don't want to take it into this other one and get that all messy. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to mess it up. Unless I went right here. We could do this one coming in this way. Nope, I'm not going to do it. We don't have time. Okay. What we need to do is ink blend our juniper mist now up at the top of our canopy. And this is what, anytime you can kind of frame a scene with a little bit more ink, it really adds to the drama. That is, the sun is setting and it's coming through the palms are very dark right here, creating a canopy, and it will give you more of that dramatic effect. But look how cute they are. So we're going to go right around. We can be heavy-handed on the corners and at the top edge and bring it down the sides. And don't be afraid because we want it really dark. So layer, 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 and then bring it down the side right there. How's everybody doing? Jackie's, I know, isn't he so cute? As soon as I demoed, he wasn't selling very well, but I knew when people didn't know how it worked, it wasn't a big deal. But as soon as I showed everyone how it worked, oh my goodness, I came home and I reordered right away because I hadn't ordered. I didn't know how things would sell, so I didn't order a whole lot. And I came home and I reordered right away. So he'll be back in stock, I'm hoping, in like 2 weeks. In the night. Hi, Shalana. How are you? Hey there, crafty friends. So excited to watch you do this. I completed that card, but I think I can benefit from tips and tricks. Well, you'll have to watch the replay too, because are you working from home or are you working today? And so anyway, if you like that sun, he should be back in stock in, I'm thinking, 2 weeks. Maybe even less than that, maybe a week and a half. So I'm blending down the sides just a little bit because we want that kind of shadiness from the trees to come in and then build that up there. Okay. So there you go. Okay. That dark canopy is what really adds to the overall effect. And I'm going to blend that blue in just a little bit there to give it a little bit more of that purple color. And there's the hint of those leaves back there. She purchased the sun too. I'm telling you, I went down early on that last day. I went down because I said, I have got to put together the sun. I hadn't even had time to use my own products when they came in because we were so busy getting ready for the retreat. And I went down at 7 a.m. on Saturday because I said, I have to put that together to show everybody, or nobody's going to understand how all the different ways you can use it, because you have to see it to get it, right? Oh, she's working from home. I know I'm hungry too. It's past my lunchtime. So there's our background. It doesn't have to be perfect because a lot of it's going to be covered up. Christy got this sent too. I know, I'm telling you, I came home with like two. And so, and then someone from the retreat, I think it was Patty, went online and bought it today. So she got the very last one, and I have other people who want it too. So stay tuned. You know, it's sold out, and we haven't figured out how to say you want to pre-order or, you know, notify me. It's another app that you have to attach. So there's like all this extra stuff that we have to figure out how to do that we haven't gotten yet. Okay, so here's this. Let me find our card base. And your fingers are going to be very inky, so clean them off before we get it all over our pretty pristine card base, because we want to keep those nice pretty white edges, right? Now, you can take your colored pencil if you're so inclined and add in some little sand and some more shading, but we're going to show so little of it. Diana says, everybody got this done. Well, not everybody, because I only had, I think 50, but I'm telling you, we sold 48. So, I came home with two. Someone bought one, and, then, like I said, Patty picked up the last one this morning. So they'll be in if you didn't get it, or if you're watching this and you didn't get it, because, Zoe created a gorgeous card. You have to go in the shop and look at the samples, because she created a sunflower with it, which is exactly what I told you. I said, you know, it can be a flower. It doesn't have to just be the sun. So go look at that, because she created the prettiest sunflower. Okay, I'm going to pop this up with some foam tape. Look how pretty. What a gorgeous scene. Let me get my scrapbook.com foam tape. And we're going to pop this up. That and the layered waves, oh my goodness. As soon as we showed that one too, I did come home with a few more of those. I think I have like 10 of those in stock, but not many, because as soon as the cool thing about the layered waves is that, you know, you can layer them up as dies, but you can also die cut them and use them as a stencil or a mask. So that's how Andrea used them on, and that's how we used it in the workshop, because, we used them as masks, right? And then we use the die cuts on our card. I think that's how you use them. But that's the layered waves die. And I did pull out the sample I had made. I did find it. I didn't have all the colors of colored cardstock that I wanted at the retreat to share, because I wanted to use some turquoise and stuff. But here it is, I think. Yep, there it is. Look how cute. It's got 5 layers in it. And this one you can even use, this is actually the negative, and I used the negative instead of the positive piece. And because really, see this under part, you flip it over, and that's actually how it's supposed to be. It's the positive from that. But look how cute, because it's got the white, you know, layer. You can't really see it on here because my sky is still white. And then this layer, so it looks like this big wave coming up. And then we've got this layer and this one. And so tonight, I think I'll use the surfboarding guys. And because it is so So cute. And it was the whole reason I had this designed first. And then I decided we needed some surfboarding. And then we have that cute little hippo. And she's going to be floating in here. And oh my gosh, they're so cute. So we're going to do those tonight, I think. Because those wave dies are everything. Okay. Let's get this on here. I'm going to use glue so I can get it where I want it without it sticking. Well, I can't wait to also see, Shalana got the sun, Christy got the sun. You guys will have to send me pictures. I can't wait to see what everybody does with it. And all, because I already have other people giving me other ideas. Someone said, oh, I don't want to give away her thing because she's going to use it later in the year and it's going to be really cute. Her idea was really awesome. Okay, so let's get this on here. And by using glue, we should have a little bit of wiggle room, although that's pretty perfect. Okay, so get that down. And let's go ahead and get our pieces now. And get our little hut. And I like to pop him up with some foam tape. And by leaving these windows in, or if they hadn't stayed in and you put foam tape behind it, you could easily stick it in the foam tape. So I'll do that right down the middle first. Get this on here. And if you wanted to place an order, just so you know, for the store, I do think I need to tell everybody this. We're kind of doing a soft opening. So we were trying to just get it up and get it tested today and tomorrow. And then it's probably going to come down for a week and then back up in about a week. We might leave it open, but if you place an order, they probably won't be shipped for a week. So, but if you get an order in before 3 o'clock tomorrow, I'll get it shipped to you. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to put any more there for right now. And let's figure out, I always try to see where our little towel can go and where we want him. So if he comes out this way and our towel is hanging right here, we got to figure out where we want our house, right? And we're almost finished. Almost. And then we'll be done because the tag is kind of self-explanatory. It's pretty simple. I don't think it's such a big deal. So this hut is coming to the edge of our card on this one. And yes, if I put him right here, let's get him straight. And there's our little flag. Okay, and then that way our window's stuck. And now, oh, don't let him stick under your foam tape. Pop this little piece out. Okay. And I like to attach him to the railing, and then I take him so that he looks like he's kind of going out off the side of the card. Okay. But I just put a little bit of glue on this edge. dab him off a little bit. And then he can go right from the railing off to the side, and there our towel will still be on. I'm going to push him out just a little bit. Okay, and you can even do a little drop of glue right here to hold that side down. Okay, and then I'm going to pop him up. On my original card, I did not, but I like it. And you know me, more is more. And he looks like he's hanging off of our little line. Now, underneath here, and here's where those details come into play. If you want to go in with a colored pencil, and now I don't know what color I had used before, so we'll have to see. Does he look crooked? I don't think so. I think he's good. He looks even on the side. Okay. You can go in with like a light brown to do some shading, or even some like don't be, you know, don't go crazy. Sometimes it can be a game to find the right color. So let's test it before we go in, because that's pretty light. And I like to use the side of the pencil for just a little bit of shading like that. And we could go in with just a little bit of gray if we wanted to, or some darker brown. We'll have to see. You have to experiment to figure out what you really like. So I'm going to go in very lightly, kind of just the side of the pencil, shading very softly. I don't want any harsh lines, but it's an easy way to shade without trying to use a blending brush or anything like that. Very softly, under here, over here, right there, and over on this side. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. So and there's just a little bit of shading. Let's see what the gray looks like. Oh, it's going to be dark, so be careful. Right over that brown, because it'll be, you know, the duskiness. You could, if you can find a soft kind of periwinkle lavender that's dark enough but doesn't look goofy over the sand, you could do that too. And then we could just add in, you know, this is where you can just kind of draw in some sand and some little shading if you want, because we didn't add a lot of color. And there you go. Ta-da! What do you think? And everyone is different, right? You know, they're not always the same. This one, we did a little bit more of the yellow. If you don't want as much yellow, do a little bit less and blend a little bit more of your pink down there, right? And this one was actually more dramatic. It looks more dramatic because we were a little bit more heavy-handed with our inking on our hut. I was a little worried, since it had been a while, if I had practiced in the last couple weeks, I probably would have done it darker. So if I had it to do over again, I'd do it more like this one. I do my hut a little bit darker in the blue raspberry, and even darker in our shading, right? But they're still both cute. I actually did a better job on this flag than on this one. So everything always changes a little bit. I like this towel better than this one. I like the shading on the railings a little bit better on this one, but I do like the darker blue house. So I would go more heavy-handed with the blue raspberry, and then with the serenade on the hut. Okay, what do you think? But I love them both. I mean, so pretty, right? What do you think? Everybody happy with that? So there you go. That was the Greetery workshop. Don't forget, thanks everybody. And if you're watching this on replay, thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to follow and hit the notification button, and it will notify you. I go live now. I'll be back on regular schedule. The craft retreat always throws stuff off, but every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And tonight will be a lot of fun. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you for joining me now. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to go have some lunch, and I'll see you tonight.